Hello, welcome to the Bakwas channel for self-paced tutorials on Internet of Things. This video illustrates the installation and basic configuration of Nginx, an open source web server for use on DF Robot RDK X3 single board computer using starter examples from D Robotics. Nginx is an open source web server developed by Igor Sisoev that is very popular for its simplicity and ease of use. Notwithstanding its simplicity, its scalability makes it very popular for diverse web server solutions, including reverse proxy and HTTP cache. The sole objective of this video is to help you to deploy Nginx on the RDK X3 for use with the starter examples provided by D Robotics. This video is limited to getting Nginx to respond to requests from the starter examples. It is certainly not intended to be a comprehensive tutorial on Nginx. There are many excellent resources, videos, and books to fulfill that latter purpose. The key steps in this tutorial are: install Nginx, create a very simple no-frills text page for the website, use the concept of virtual host for the identity of the website, activate the website, run some of the examples as provided by D Robotics, but with some minor changes to reflect personal taste. After running the obligatory sudo apt update command, use sudo apt install nginx command to install the Nginx package. At the completion of the installation, a confirmation message will be displayed in the log files. Let us go ahead and install Nginx. The first thing we want to do is to upgrade the system. So the classic method is sudo apt update. And once that's complete, we can proceed to the installation of the Nginx package using apt from the command line. So this is going to take a few seconds to update the repository. And now that the update is complete, we will issue the command to install Nginx. And as you can see, it'll include a few additional packages, and I'll go ahead and just say yes for now and let the system go ahead and complete the installation. We're almost there, and once this is done, then we will get the message saying that it's been installed. We can confirm that Nginx is installed and running by running the systemctl command and say status Nginx. And as you can see, it says clearly it's active and running, started shortly, and there's all these processes. So the next step will be to configure the virtual host. So let me give you some confirmation that Nginx is running. I'll go to a browser, and in this case Firefox, and just without any fuss, just type localhost in the address bar, and voila. You see the sign, and it tells us it's up and running. And of course, we need to now proceed to the configuration stage. The default folder for user files used by Nginx is /www/var/html. Other folders can be used too. All websites must reference at least one file that can be served as a response to fulfill the web request. Traditionally, HTML files are used since Tim Berners-Lee published the first site at the European Organization for Nuclear Research in 1990. In the example on the slide, doctype tells the browser which version of HTML is being used. HTML, the root element that encompasses the entire document. Head contains meta information about the page, and it is not displayed directly to the user. Title defines the title that appears in the browser tab. Body contains the content visible to the user. H1 is an example of a heading. H1 is the highest importance. H6 is the lowest importance. P is paragraphs of text. This is a very, very basic example, but explains the structure of an HTML file. So now that we've created our index file in this folder /var/www/rdk, let's see how we can let Nginx know that this file is available to be served when clients make requests to the web server. So we're going to use something called virtual hosts, which is essential for managing multiple websites on a single server. This improves security, enhances performance, and of course provides flexibility and scalability. So by using virtual hosts, we can manage a number of different websites with different requirements, all on a single Nginx web server. Let us go ahead and create a basic site for use with our packages. So we will migrate back to the root, which is var, and then create a directory here. And let's just, for the sake of discussion here, just call it RDK. And it says, obviously, we need a permission privileged. And once we do that, we can see that it's there. And we now have a new folder that we navigate to when there's nothing in there. So we will create a very simple file in there, and we will call it index.html for our site. So again, as you can see, we need to have elevated privileges. I just wanted to show you that, and we type in sudo, and let's do that. And now we can stick in a bunch of code in there so that it'll basically paste it in there. So here's the very simple file, and we're going to use this to drive our RDK website. So I'll just go ahead and save this, exit out, and as you can see now we have a file called index.html under the RDK. So we've created the HTML file. We now need to go and define this site as a virtual host. By using virtual host files, one can effectively manage a diverse range of websites with different requirements on a single Nginx server instance. To set up virtual host, we need to create a reference file in /etc/nginx/sites-enabled folder. In this example, the name of the file is RDK. The contents of the file are shown in green color. To keep it simple, we will use port 8080 for our web requests. Again, to keep it simple, the server name is not important right now. However, we need to identify the location of the file. There is only one for now that Nginx will use to process the request to the website. This folder name can be different from the name of the reference file that is retained under Sites Enabled. In our case, coincidentally, it both happen to be RDK. The keyword root identifies the folder for the website. The index file in this folder is identified with the keyword index, and in keeping things simple for now, the index file is called index.html. You are, of course, free to experiment with names of the files and folders. There is some nominal error handling to serve the traditional HTTP 404 error message if a requested file is not found. In our case, this directive is simply a placeholder for future enhancements. So let's take a quick look one more time at the contents of this file before we move over to setting up the virtual host. So you can see it's pretty much straightforward, and just recognize the message that we see here where we say we have just configured our, so that's the custom message. So now we want to go over to the Nginx folder where we will specify the file for a virtual host. So cd/etc Nginx. And if you look under this folder, we'll have a bunch of files, but on the top right-hand corner, you see sites-enabled. So we need to go to that site there, sites enabled. And here we are. And if we open this, we have one file called default, and the other one is called RDK. So I've just gone ahead and prepared that, and what I'd like to do is just show you the contents of RDK. So first of all, we're going to listen on port 8080 as opposed to the default 80. And then the server name, we're going to leave it as a wildcard, so any server name that is supported on the host here will work. As you saw, we had the index.html in this folder, /var/www/rdk. That's where the index file is, and we're telling it that the root folder is out there. And then go ahead and pick up the index.html from there. And that's the reference to the index file name in here. In case we get the request, we first use the URI, and then of course the URI is a folder, and if both of these are not available, we'll return the traditional 404 error. So that's all it takes to create a virtual host under Nginx. And now what we want to do is restart the service. So systemctl restart, if I can type correctly, Nginx. And it's done. There are no error messages, no warning. So let's go ahead and launch the browser now to see what we get. And I'm going to go ahead and stick to Firefox and launch it. To make our site start working, restart the Nginx service. The command for this purpose is sudo systemctl restart Nginx. Launch a browser to connect to the website. While you have different choices to navigate to the newly created website, entering localhost for the address, if you are launching the browser from RDK X3, should suffice. If you are using a browser remotely, then you will have to know the IP address or the fully qualified domain name of the server that is running Nginx. A confirmation message should be displayed if everything is working as expected. Root privileges are needed to relaunch the service. Check for errors in the Nginx log at /var/log/nginx/error.log. It is more efficient to use systemctl rather than restart, since systemctl reloads the configuration without interrupting existing connections. So Firefox is up and running, and all we have to do is say localhost colon 8080, because that's the port that we've designated. And we run that, and now you can see a new message comes up, and it says, this is the message I had asked you to be prepared for. And so we've installed Nginx, and we've created a virtual host on this server. We can create as many virtual hosts as we want, depending on the resources available to support the different RDK applications. So I hope this has been useful for you. This short tutorial demonstrated the installation and configuration of Nginx, using virtual hosts to illustrate that multiple websites can be hosted on a single Nginx web server. The validation of the installation by using a browser to connect to the website. That's all, folks. Thanks for taking the time to view this presentation. Would love to hear from you with your feedback. You are always welcome to be critical in any which way you can. Until next time, bye for now. This presentation was prepared with assistance using free open source software, FOSS, from Igor Sysoev for Nginx, and for the backbone of the preparation of this tutorial from OBS Studio, Kdenlive, LibreOffice, and of course, Ubuntu. Also, D-Robotics provided the starter examples. Teachers, viewers, and peers provided valuable feedback. My apologies if I have inadvertently omitted anyone from this acknowledgement. A very big thank you to y'all for the assistance.